Hola y bienvenido a Learn Spanish en SpanishDict.com. Soy Paralee Whitmire y soy tu profesora. Hoy aprenderás de las palabras negativas e indefinidas en la escuela como nadie está en la clase hoy, hay alguien que tiene un bolígrafo y mucho más. ¡Vámonos! Si hiciste todas las lecciones de Learn Spanish, pienso que necesitas estudiar en otro país. I, and a lot of others, would say that the best way to learn a new language is to go where it is spoken. Taking a 1-hour class once a week, or even once a day, is nothing compared to living it 24/7. I took Spanish for years here in the US before going to live and take classes in Spain, and then Peru. I learned how to apply all of the things that I learned from all the classes that I took the previous years. So today, I'm going to prepare you for a day in una aula in a Spanish-speaking country using different negative and indefinite words. Indefinite words are like somebody, something, some, and a few others, which can be used when you want to refer to people or things that are not specific or indefinite. Negative words like nobody, nothing, never, and a few others are used to deny the existence of people or things or to contradict statements. Now, how you use these words can definitely set you apart from a novice Spanish speaker. Empezamos con las palabras indefinidas porque son muy similares a las palabras indefinidas en inglés. Alguien, somebody, or anybody. ¿Hay alguien en la clase que tiene una regla? Is there anybody in the class that has a ruler? Algo, something. ¿Tienes algo en tu mochila? Do you have something in your backpack? Alguno, some, or any. ¿Hay algún problema con la computadora? There's some problem with the computer. When alguno precedes a singular masculine noun, it is shortened to algún with a tilde above the U. And because alguno is an adjective, it needs to match the noun that it precedes, right? So if the noun is feminine, then alguno also has to be feminine. ¿Tienes alguna bola del mundo en tu aula? Do you have a world globe in your classroom? Why don't you try a few? Change alguno so that it matches in gender and number to the noun that follows it. To make it plural, just add an S for masculine and change the O to an A and then add an S for feminine. And you don't need the tilde for either plural forms. Hay blank pupitres extras en otra sala. Algunos. Hay algunos pupitres extra en otra sala. There are some extra desks in the other classroom. ¿Tienes blank rotulador? Algún. ¿Tienes algún rotulador? Do you have a marker? Blank escuelas tienen un día feriado hoy. Algunas. Algunas escuelas tienen un día feriado hoy. Some schools have a holiday today. As you can see, algún, alguna, and also the plural forms, algunos and algunas, can have several different meanings. Some, any, and a if it is unknown whether the object exists. And on a separate note, I want to give you a few tips on figuring out the gender of nouns, since you just had to match adjectives like alguno to nouns that didn't end in an A or an O. There are several nouns that you have learned like this, like papel, lápiz, pupitre, and rotulador, that don't end in an A or an O, like you were used to seeing. It may be hard to know what gender these nouns are without seeing the definite article, el or la, but there are some general rules that you can follow for the non-A or O nouns. If the noun ends in a D, a Z, or ion, I, O with a tilde N, it is probably feminine, like la felicidad, happiness, la nariz, nose, and la canción, song. There are always exceptions though, and that's why this is a general rule, like el lápiz ends in a Z, and it's masculine, even though it ends in a Z. Now, the other nouns I mentioned are masculine as well, not only because they do not end in a D, Z, or yon, but because most masculine nouns that don't end in an O will end in an E, an accented vowel, or vowel with a tilde, or a consonant other than D or Z. El pupitre, el papel, and el rotulador. All right, we've gotten a little off track, but it was good information. The last two indefinite words for today you already know. Siempre, always, and también, also. Siempre le pido papel de la profesora. I always borrow paper from the teacher. También necesitas una carpeta y un cuaderno. You also need a folder and a notebook. While the indefinite words are used about the same, the negative words used in English and Spanish are treated very differently. The first difference you already know. To create simple negatives in Spanish, all you have to do is place a no in front of the verb. No tiene un bolígrafo. He does not have a pen. No quiero escribir en la pizarra. I do not want to write on the chalkboard. No necesitas un lápiz. You do not need a pencil. And I hope you noticed that the English translations all had do or does in them. These are called helping verbs and are necessary for negating sentences in English, but are not used in Spanish. You can use negative words two different ways in Spanish, either placing the negative word in front of the verb. Nadie le gustan los uniformes escolares. Nobody likes the school uniforms. Ninguno de los alumnos tienen una mochila. None of the students has a backpack. Or you can use a negative word in conjunction with the word no. When used with no, the negative word follows the verb, while no precedes it, giving you a double negative. No estudiamos nunca antes de un examen. We never study before a test. No hay ninguna bandera en esta aula. There is not a flag in this classroom. Esta es una diferencia enorme en inglés. In English, double negatives are always considered incorrect. But in Spanish, when a sentence is negative, there must always be a negative word in front of the verb. And if that word is no, then the other negative words like nadie or nada will follow the verb. In English, once a negative word has been used, no other negative word can be used. Instead, indefinite words are used. I never write anything, instead of I never write nothing. But in Spanish, once a sentence is negative, no other indefinite or affirmative word can be used. All indefinite ideas must be expressed using a negative word. So, I never write anything would be translated to Nunca escribo nada, instead of Nunca escribo algo. You can use 3 or 4 negative words in the same sentence in Spanish if the need arises. No usa nada de la tiza nunca. He never uses any of the chalk. No puedo ver nunca a nadie de mi escritorio tampoco. I can't see anybody from my desk either. ¿Está bien? Recuerda, hay una palabra negativa para cada palabra indefinida. It helps to memorize them in pairs so that you know how to change your sentences from affirmative to negative. Algo, nada. Something and nothing. Alguien, nadie. Somebody and nobody. Alguno, ninguno. Some or none. Siempre, nunca. Always and never. And last, también, tampoco. Also or neither. Why don't you try practicing a little bit? Te daré unas frases con una palabra negativa y una palabra indefinida en paréntesis. If you don't see any other negative words in the sentence, then pick the indefinite word because the sentence is affirmative. If you do see any other negative words, especially no, then pick the negative word because the sentence is negative. And once the sentence is negative in Spanish, all the other words need to be negative as well. Por ejemplo, no uso siempre o nunca el proyector en mis clases. Are you going to pick siempre for always or nunca for never? Do you see any other negative words in this sentence? I do. No. So the sentence is negative, right? That means you need to pick nunca. No uso nunca el proyector en mis clases. I never use the projector in my classes. Bien, ahora te toca. No traje algo o nada en mi mochila a clase hoy. Nada. No traje nada en mi mochila a clase hoy. ¿Hay alguien o nadie en mi pupitre? Alguien. Hay alguien en mi pupitre. ¿Puedes prestarme algún o ningún lápiz? Algún. ¿Puedes prestarme algún lápiz? Perfecto. Es todo para hoy. You can review all the rules for negative and indefinite words, as well as a guide on how to tell the gender of all kinds of nouns in the grammar section of the reference page at SpanishDict.com/reference. And you can practice using your new negative and indefinite words at SpanishDict.com/learn, where you'll find all the picture flashcards for the school vocabulary in this lesson, as well as all the quizzes, the forum, and the video chat. If you want to review this lesson on the go, make sure you download the video podcast from iTunes. Until next time, hasta luego y nos vemos!